I really appreciate you joining me today, and this story comes from Glasgow in Scotland. Thank you to everybody that watched the previous story from Scotland, and don't forget, you can check all the stories out on the website as well. Before I start, I do want to make sure everybody is aware to be careful about a lot of clickbait, and I'm seeing a lot of videos about Tom Cruise that are showing footage that never existed. There is no CCTV of the robbery of Tom Cruise's car anywhere. Police have launched a murder investigation in Glasgow after a man who was shot on Saturday, August the 28th, went on to die. He has been identified as John Mcgregor. He's 44 years old and a father of 5. He was seriously injured in Westray Street in Milton at 7:55 on Thursday the 26th of August. He was taken to hospital in a critical condition and died later on the same day. And a murder investigation was launched. Police believe this was a targeted attack, and the investigation team are looking into a burnt out vehicle that they believe is linked that was dumped nearby. It was reported to police that a white Vauxhall Corsa van was on fire in the local area at around 10 to 10 on Thursday the 26th of August. Detective Superintendent Raymond Brown from Police Scotland Major Crimes Team and Senior Investigating Officer said, "I want to appeal directly to the community who might have information about what happened. There was people in the street at this time, and he was shot dead in front of 3 young children. I also want to ask people to think about this, even if they are reluctant to come forward." The police go on to say that the shooting victim was gunned down in the street shortly after a car was rammed nearby by a notorious gangland figure. Daily Record reported that John Mcgregor was battling for his life initially before he went on to die, and he was associated to one of the biggest battles in Scotland between crime gangs that has caused mayhem on the streets. The families involved are the Daniels and the LYONS, and John Mcgregor was associated allegedly to the Daniels. Witnesses told police that they believed the shooter's weapon was a shotgun, and it jammed before he fired it again and killed him in front of children. Sources told the Daily Record that Thursday's sickening violence was triggered by a former close associate of the dead gangster Kevin the Gerbil Carroll deliberately crashing into a Mercedes van minutes before. They said the unidentified 42-year-old thug was part of the Gerbil's notorious gang called the Alien Abduction Gang. He terrorised local drug dealers with kidnapping, shootings and violent robberies. His intended target was a 27-year-old man who was in a car with a woman and then managed to escape. He's facing charges at the High Court, and they can't name him at the moment for legal reasons. So that is the incident that took place shortly before this murder. The police have footage of a man running back to a grey van holding a shotgun moments later. At less than an hour after the original incident involving the Mercedes, Mcgregor was shot dead on the same street. Locals performed CPR and paramedics also worked on the victim, and he was rushed to hospital where he remained in a critical condition but died later on. An eyewitness said that he was shot at point blank range, and they said when the guy first come up to shoot him, the gun jammed and he tried again and he aimed right at his chest. The victim fell down in the street and the man ran off and got into a white car. There was 10 paramedics present at the time. They was all surrounding him, the witness told the Daily Record, and they said it was terrifying. It went on for about 45 minutes. There was a dozen police officers and 8 police vans, a handful of police cars also at the scene, and uniformed officers guarding the cordon. Detectives carried out door-to-door inquiries, and officers were asking for CCTV that may help them to track down the vehicle and also the suspects they believe are responsible. In relation to Mcgregor's friend, Carroll, he was a key figure also in the Daniel crime clan, and he was shot in the Asda car park in Glasgow's Royston area in 2010. His gang, the Alien Abduction Gang, got its name because nobody could remember what happened to them after they was abducted by the gang. Carroll was shot dead by William Patterson, a senior figure in the LYONS crime family who had been waging a war with the Daniels for over 20 years. This war was so serious that the police even tried to get meetings to try to call a truce from the families, which never happened. The police reassured members of the public this was an isolated incident and a targeted attack, and they are probing the burnt-out car found nearby in Cumbernauld. The windows were smashed on the car and it looked like someone had tried to set it on fire, and forensic teams were all over it. They left the scene with a shotgun that was also found in the car, and it was covered in a piece of cloth. In relation to the Gerbil's murder back in 2010, the court heard from a witness called Stephen Glenn who told the High Court in Glasgow at the time that he was summoned to a meeting with the Gerbil in Glasgow in the car park. He said seconds after meeting him, the Gerbil was shot dead repeatedly by 2 men who came from either side of the car. He told the court I can't remember all the stuff he was asking me about. It was basically him telling me that I was working for him and that everybody's got to fall in line or they're going to get banged. PATERSON was convicted of firearm charges as well as murder and told the court that he was a drug dealer in 2010 and worked for a man called Johnson. He even incriminated 6 other people and denied any involvement in the murder. William PATERSON, 35 at the time of his conviction, was sentenced to a minimum of 22 years in jail before being considered for release. The judge said that he was in a car park where ordinary members of the public were going about their everyday business and you put them at risk of gunfire. PATERSON's DNA was found on the handle of a Tesco bag and the murder weapon was found inside this bag. Another man that stood trial for the murder was Ross Monaghan, but he wasn't convicted but was later shot in 2017 when a man pushing a pushchair opened fire on him outside a school gate. The Daily Record described him back in 2017 as a gangster and they said that he got shot with a 9mm bullet that went straight through his shoulder. They said that Ross Monaghan in 2017 was aware that he was being tracked by the gunman and witnesses said that he zigzagged to try to make sure the target wasn't as good. They say that he was hit in the shoulder but he told the hospital that he was shot with an air rifle, but the police later corrected this and said this wasn't true. So that is just a brief summary of the associations that the papers up in Scotland have connected to this murder, and if you want to hear the full history of the Daniels LYONS clan story, please don't forget to like and drop a comment. Follow me online as well at scarcitystudios.com, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok and Facebook. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.